Check it out, guys. I got a new mask. Mostly because my other one's starting to fall apart a bit. I really gotta wash that. So today we're going to be reacting to another Buzzfeed Unsolved video. This is the odd death of Michelle von Emster, I believe. Just my hair really quick. And let's see how weird her death was. 3, 2, 1, play.
This week on Buzzfeed Unsolved, we cover the controversial death
Shark
of
attack or
Michelle von
murder?
Emster, which may involve one of the most deadly suspects we've ever covered.
Ooh.
With that being said,
A shark?
On Friday, April 15th, 1994, in San Diego, California, on Sunset Cliffs, two surfers noticed seagulls perched on top of what appeared to be floating kelp. Upon closer inspection, they noticed that it was in fact the body of Michelle von Emster floating face down in a kelp bed.
pretty beautiful location. Kelpie, but what a terrible thing.
It must kind of
happens in a
stink.
beautiful place.
Eventually,
You know that
the body was
stink.
taken to San Diego Life.
You ever been to a beach? You know the stink.
Michelle was found naked, wearing only a brass bracelet and 2 rings. She had a butterfly tattoo on her shoulder and had long brown hair. Medical examiner Robert Engel examined the body directly upon arrival to the lifeguard headquarters and reported, quote, large tearing type wounds with missing tissue, end quote, as the body was missing most of its right leg.
That's a shark, baby.
Yep.
I know. I've seen Jaws at least 6 times. That's a shark.
Well, not so fast.
Huh?
Yeah.
Don't jump to conclusions.
I'm jumping. I've jumped.
By the way, that beach kind of looked a bit like that one beach in the Jaws movie.
What they appear.
Huh?
One thing worthy of note is that he believed Michelle had not been in the water a long time. Although he did not claim a cause of death in his report, the consensus on the boat was that this was most likely a shark attack. One day later, on April 16, 1994, a formal autopsy was performed by San Diego medical examiner Brian Blackburn.
Heads up, this is about to get pretty brutal here. in
Okay.
This description. I'm saying this because these details will become relevant later, but it's rough.
In addition to large tearing type wounds, the right leg was missing from the middle of the thigh down. Her
Yeah.
neck was broken, quote, as if she'd been in a car wreck, end quote, and had broken ribs, scrapes, bruises, and contusions on the face. Sand was found in von Emster's mouth, throat, lungs, and stomach.
It's too much sand.
That's a lot of sand.
I don't want any. You don't want any sand anywhere.
That's gonna come in big later, so
Yeah.
remember that.
All right, I'll remember it. Sand.
Furthermore, the report concluded that von Emster had been alive when these injuries were inflicted upon her.
The fuck?
According to Blackburn, Michelle von Emster was last seen at 8 p.m., which Blackburn used in establishing his timeline, and placed Michelle in the water at midnight. Blackburn arrived at the conclusion that it was a shark attack because lifeguards, harbor police, and local marine biologists at Scripps Institute told him so. According to him, Michelle was attacked by a great white shark, forcing her to the bottom of the ocean, where she broke her neck and swallowed sand, and then died from blood loss and drowning. And when you briefly look at the details, that seems highly plausible.
No, it doesn't.
So you switch.
It's
now, you
kind of
jump again.
sketchy if you ask
I'm
me.
flip-flopping again.
Let's look at a couple things that don't add up in regards to Michelle dying due to a
So,
shark attack.
fuck is that
First
thing?
off, medical
Was that a
examiner
pipe?
Brian Blackburn, the man who concluded it was an attack by a great white, had never seen a death caused by a shark attack before, and neither had anybody who saw the body. The experts that Blackburn consulted with at Scripps Institute never saw the body. Instead, Blackburn came to Scripps Institute himself, making the Institute's assessment of Michelle's cause of death questionable, to say the least.
Wait, so he hadn't even seen a death by shark before?
No, so he'd never seen a death by a shark attack, and the experts that he conferred with at Scripps Institute, the Oceanology Institute, he didn't bring them in to have them look at the body. He just went over there himself. And
Just
told
have
them
them
what
look at the
had happened.
goddamn
That's called being
corpse.
not thorough.
No, not at all.
Additionally, many experts do not think this was a great white shark attack, including Ralph Collier, the leading expert on Pacific Coast white shark behavior and ecology. After seeing the remains of Michelle's leg bone, Collier said, quote, when a white shark bites off part of a limb, the break is clean, almost like you put it on a table saw. What remained of Michelle's femur was anything but. It looked like what happens when you get a piece of bamboo and whittle it down to a point with a knife. I've looked at close to 100
I don't know what that looks like.
I've reviewed over the years, and I've never seen any bones that came to a point, end quote.
A little beside the point, but very impressive on the great white shark's behalf that they can do such a clean bite.
Well, it's a powerful animal.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I mean, it's not a bear, but it's.
It could certainly kill a bear, hands
it's
down, if
definitely-
you dropped a bear in the
no,
ocean.
If you,
Yeah.
No, if a bear.
No,
We've been over
no.
this before. The bear is the most deadly animal of all time.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
If you put a bear on any playing field in the world. Water.
Nope, hippopotamus.
Nope, fuck you, dude.
Hippopotamus
Bear's the
would
most,
kill
you
a
know
bear
what?
in a
We're getting
heartbeat.
this is a different episode.
Fuck you.
Another thing that seemed strange was the notion that the sand had entered Michelle's body after her leg had been torn off. Quote, the damage would have severed her femoral artery, and she would have bled to death quickly. But for her to have sand in her stomach, she had to take a big gulping breath as she made contact with the sand. End quote. Here's one last thought from Collier. Quote, there are too many things in this case that are not consistent with white shark behavior. End quote.
He's the Richard Dreyfuss of this Jaws story.
Exactly.
This would be like if in Jaws there was a guy going around town just murdering people and then yelling, "Shark!"
And then just tossing him in the ocean.
Yeah.
I would watch that.
This is bullshit.
Another person against the notion of a great white shark attack is Richard Rosenblatt, the chairman of Scripps Institute at the time, who initially consulted with medical examiner Brian Blackburn on the case without seeing Michelle's body. And when actually given the measurements of Michelle's wounds, Rosenblatt said that none of the marks on Michelle's body were caused by a white shark. And furthermore, if she had been bitten by a white shark, they most likely would have found a great white tooth broken off into her body. And no great white teeth were found inside her body. There were, however, bite marks left by blue sharks, who definitely did feed on Michelle's body. Pathologist Harry Bunnell, who examined the case, states that there was no evidence these bites occurred before her death. Another medical examiner, Glenn Wagner, re-examined the case in 2008, and also felt that her body had been scavenged by sharks after her death. One final point to disprove the theory of a shark attack is the fact that Michelle's leg was missing. Here's another quote from Scripps Institute chairman Richard Rosenblatt. Quote, if a shark had taken the leg, it could only have been a white shark. End quote. So, if only a white shark could have taken the leg, and it has been proven unlikely that a white shark was the culprit, then it's reasonable to say that a shark attack was unlikely in general. But if that's true, then what really happened to Michelle von Emster? Let's look at some alternate theories as to who or what could have killed Michelle. The first theory is that Michelle went for a midnight naked swim and subsequently drowned.
This doesn't really look
That's
like
what
a
I was
very
thinking
good
at
go
first.
For a midnight swim. It's very rocky and kelpy. This is not ideal swimming conditions.
Proponents of this theory believe Michelle could have gotten caught in a current of
Like,
riptide
maybe
and
she,
knocked against rocks where she died and
maybe
was fed
the
upon by blue
the
sharks.
current
A heavy impact
pushed her
rocks
from where
could
she
have
was
swayed her.
originally swimming.
However, it seems unlikely that Michelle would go for a midnight swim due to the fact that, according to records, the water would have been too cold at 59 degrees, with the night air being 57 degrees. In fact, Michelle was last seen wearing a green trench coat at 8 p.m., so obviously, she was aware of the cold.
Did she have anything under the trench coat? That's what Never mind.
No, wait a second. You mean she was one of those, like,
Well, I thought if
flasher
she was
guys?
going to jump into the ocean naked, then maybe she was walking around with a trench coat specifically because she was naked underneath.
Holy shit, you're right.
Yeah, that's what
But
I was-
probably not.
I was gonna suggest.
It kind of makes sense now you put it that way.
Oh, put it in the theory list.
The second theory is that Michelle died as the result of a fall from Sunset Cliffs. A medical examiner for San Francisco said that Michelle's neck, rib, and pelvic injuries were more consistent with injuries from falls or car accidents. Sunset Cliffs is known as one of the most beautiful sightseeing spots in San Diego, but is also known for having crumbling sandstone, and people have died in the past in this spot.
To be fair, it looks very dangerous. You can break your neck on that.
But the injury she sustained,
Yeah, I don't think falling from this would cause your leg to fall off and sharpen to a point.
yeah, I could definitely see how someone would fall off this. I mean, it's...
Oh, this gives me anxiety.
A little ridge here, I say as I stand on top of it.
Some believe it was here that Michelle could have either intentionally jumped, accidentally fell, been hit by a car, or maybe Michelle was pushed off the edge. Which brings us to our third and final theory, that Michelle was
But
murdered.
why was she naked?
Let's go over some details that fit that narrative. The neighborhood Michelle lived in at the time of her death had a reputation for drugs and was nicknamed the War Zone. The fact that Michelle was found naked is also strange, since I find it hard to explain
Yeah.
how a shark or accidental drowning victim would be naked. Though,
Explain
a
that.
fellow lifeguard once claiming to have seen Michelle swimming naked, a work acquaintance named Edwin Decker would reveal in an interview that Michelle had a hippie vibe and had told him that she, quote, liked to surf naked, end quote.
This sounds like a Law
Okay,
and Order
so
interview. Like they found the guy at the local grocery store moving boxes around. He's like, yeah, she had a hippie vibe to her. Yeah, I seen her out there by the rocks swimming naked.
Also,
What were you doing out there, sir?
I mean, this guy was a bartender too, so in fact, he's probably the same Law and Order, so he's cleaning glasses at the bar. Yeah, I've seen her before. She used to come here every Thursday.
Yeah, that rings a bell or two. That shakes a tambourine.
Although, her friends never recalled her surfing, and local surfers don't recall ever seeing her surfing. Perhaps one of the most suspicious details is the fact that Michelle's purse was found about 2.5 miles away from her body, in the sand on the base of the seawall. The purse contained Michelle's keys, driver's license, makeup, pay stub, and a fanny pack containing $27 in cash.
What about the trench coat?
The purse was discovered on a heavily used stretch of beach, meaning it's unlikely that her purse could sit there for 24 hours without any of the money or the purse itself being stolen. This has led some to believe that somebody hurt Michelle, left her to die in the ocean, and then planted the purse to make it look like an accident. Or maybe she was drowned. As mentioned before, Michelle would have had to take a big gulping breath to ingest the sand found in her lungs. Experts mention this only could have happened at the bottom of the ocean, but if someone were to have drowned her in the shallow water of the sandy shoreline, that could perhaps explain the sand. Either way, there are only two suspects, both unofficial. The first suspect is Edwin Decker, a friend who worked as a bartender next to Michelle's old job at Rumor's coffee shop. Decker, if you recall, was the one who claimed Michelle told him, quote, she liked to surf naked, end quote. A fact that would conveniently explain why she was found that way. Decker also claims the night before Michelle's death, he and her had drinks and had flirted for weeks beforehand. He also claims they kissed in his apartment after getting drinks, and that Michelle left his apartment at 5 a.m. in a cab. Though, Decker also mentions there was a friend sleeping nearby them in his apartment that night. Here's what Decker had to say about Michelle. There was a total intellectual connection. I felt there was an emotional connection too. At least on my part there was. And we also had a physical connection. I was so bummed when a couple of days went by and she hadn't called. I was about to give up on the idea, end quote. Later, when he found out that Michelle had died in a shark attack, he wrote and eventually published this poem.
Quote,
Jesus Christ.
wait till you hear the poem.
Oh,
Wait
and
till
he's
you-
accusing her of oh, she's a real hippie.
Quote, the report said there was a tattoo, a butterfly on her shoulder, which I remembered that night on my couch when I, like the shark, chewed on her lips and took off her shirt.
The fuck?
No.
Jesus Christ.
It's not even a good poem, it's just weird.
No, it's very strange.
This sounds like something a
Eh.
drunk man would say as he's laying on the sidewalk just babbling. And,
I don't like that one bit.
And nothing
like the shark
rhymed.
chewed on her lips and took off her shirt.
No, the shark was not doing
The
that.
shark was not making out with her.
Less creepier than you.
The shark is judging you.
Decker actually teamed up with an investigator around 2008 and wrote to the San Diego Medical Examiner asking them to reevaluate Michelle's case, which obviously wouldn't be the first thing on the to-do list of a person who murdered the victim.
Gotta be honest, that's the first thing I
Yeah.
Really?
did. Yeah.
Because of the guilt? Is that what you're suggesting?
No, because they'd be like, well, couldn't possibly be him.
No, that's...
Yeah.
I think
So I
that's...
was like, you
that's,
better find this killer.
that's a movie plot thing, that's not...
I bet it's happened.
The second
Yeah, it might have,
suspect was an
statistically.
unknown stalker who had stalked Michelle at her previous job at Rumor's coffee shop. She reportedly left that job to work a different job at Cabrillo Stationery and Office Supply because she believed the unknown man wouldn't stalk her there. Michelle had mentioned that she didn't know this man's name, but that he rode a motorcycle. Denise Knox, Michelle's former boss at the office supply store, recalled a day at the store after Michelle's death when a man came in with a copy of Michelle's autopsy report to make additional copies. In 2014, Knox
That's
told the
weird.
San Diego Reader, quote, the weird guy who wanted all those copies of her autopsy, he rode a motorcycle too, end quote. So after hearing the theories, what do you think happened? Was this actually a shark attack after all? Was this a case of accidental drowning? Did Michelle accidentally or intentionally fall to her death? Or was this case more sinister than it seems at surface level, and Michelle was horrifically murdered? The tragic passing of Michelle von Emster will remain unsolved.
I'm putting it on the bartender. That poem is unforgivable. I feel like I need to just take a bath in hand sanitizer after listening to it.
You deserve to be in jail just from that poem alone.
Yeah, poetry jail.
I'm kind of leaning towards a stalker a bit. Unless the bartender was a stalker. But we don't know if he rode a motorcycle. Unless he rented one. Do you need a specific license for a motorcycle? I don't know, y'all tell me that. See you guys in the next one.